Wazoo zone. Here is a big hit. Look at that. Wow. Diamond Hands just laid out Colin Sockman. And here we go. Let's do it. Redicop and Diamond Hands at center ice in the jungle. Oh, look at that shot there by Amesbury. Another one. A left hand. Look at this combination. Another left by Amesbury. Oh, machine gun action there by Diamond Hands. And the linesman jumps in. Welcome to Fort Wayne.
Amesbury throwing haymakers. Amesbury lands the knockout.
Fires one towards the goal. That's going to be gloved by Travis Ridgen. Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin The BIzkit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Slangin The BIzkit podcast. And today's a special episode. I have somebody in front of me that I've been dying to get on the show for a while. I think many listeners of the show that I've been excited to share a conversation with. He is the baddest man in hockey. He calls himself the toughest act in pro sports. I would have to agree with that. The legend himself, Diamond Hands, Daniel Amesbury. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We finally made it happen.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's been a long time in the making. You've had your own podcast for about a year. We've kind of been going neck and neck with the numbers throughout the season. Like when the season starts, things get hot for you and AJ, things get hot for us. But to have a collaboration, I think it's great.
Yeah, super cool. We've been talking about it for a while, and now we're both here in Vancouver. It worked out.
And I feel like it's one of those things, you could do it remotely, but that in-person energy just can't be matched.
Yeah, it's not the same, 100%.
You get the vibes going. It's like in the locker room, like before morning skate, a couple guys putting on a cup of coffee by the Keurig, country music playing, just low, not too loud. And then, all right, boys, ice is ready. Morning skate in 5. We're going early and often. I love that. But congrats on signing, by the way. You just signed with the Kansas City Mavericks.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. It was, it was pretty last second how it went down, but yeah, really excited to be a part of the organization. It's been, since the second I signed with them, it's been first class. So I'm really looking forward to getting down there.
What do you mean it happened last minute?
So I was actually, I hadn't talked to Kansas City. I hadn't heard from them. My agent hadn't heard from him. And then it was like, I was 2 days outside of signing with another team. I was trying to make a decision. I had a couple teams on the table, trying to make a big decision. And I called my buddy, Dmitry Kuznetsov. Obviously, I played with him in Danbury. And I was just checking on him, seeing how he's doing. Actually, we talked about him on the podcast that day. He basically said, yeah, I'm with Kansas City's coach. And I said, sign me. And he said, he's like, oh, he said they've been trying to get a hold of you all summer long. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, he told me that you've been ghosting them and you weren't responding and they just thought you had no interest because they had been texting you and calling you and no response. And I'm like, what? Like, okay, well, give me coach's number. So I get coach's number, call Riley, the assistant coach. I said, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh, it's so good to hear from you. Like we were trying to get a hold of you. And yeah, so long story short, they had my old phone number, couldn't get a hold of me. And I just told him the deal. Hey, this is where I'm at. I don't know where I'm going to go yet. I'm trying to decide, but I'm going to decide. This was on the 8th. I'm going to know by the 10th where I'm going, and I'm going to sign. And then it wasn't 20 minutes later, I got a call from Tad O'Had, the head coach at Kansas City, and he basically gave me an offer, and it was the best of both the offers I had on the table, and I couldn't say no. It was such a good opportunity. They obviously went to the finals last year, and so I was super pumped to have that opportunity and got it done.
Do you have an agent?
I do.
So they were trying to reach directly to you.
Yeah,
for your old
so
number.
they had been messaging me directly. I'm not sure they knew who my agent was or whatever at the time. And yeah, they had been reaching out because I had talked to them the year before. I almost went there the year before. And I didn't because I was still in Danbury or whatever. And, it ended up being, super last minute, but it worked out. And I'm happy it worked out the way it did.
How many guys do you think that happens to? Where a team's trying to reach out to them, maybe they're using the old number, it's showing up green, not blue on the iPhone messages, and they think, God, this guy's big dicking us.
Yeah.
He's a big leaguer. Meanwhile, he just changed his phone number and he would love to play for you. That has to happen to some degree.
I'm sure it happens all the time, yeah. Actually, the first time I ever got called up, the team called my house number. So they called
a landline.
They called my parents' house number.
This is back in 2007.
FPHL. It was the FPHL 2011, I think.
Okay, that's back when landlines were a
2010 maybe, yeah.
Wow. What a time to be alive. Though.
Yeah.
Where's the handlebars though?
The handlebars, I was taking a little break from I actually shaved completely down. It's kind of nice, but I've grown the beard out a little bit, and I haven't decided if I'm going to start the year with a beard or handlebars. We'll see.
I like it with the full body.
Yeah, it's
full
nice,
body,
right?
the full
Thick.
experience.
Yeah.
Nice and thick and ferocious.
Yeah, it feels good. I like it.
Yeah. Is the handlebars part of like being a character though?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and like it obviously started, I think at the beginning, the handlebars were kind of like rough and rowdy, I think was like the first time I actually did it, I think. Like I've obviously done the handlebars. I mean, the first time I did the handlebars was my first kick at the Cannon Pro, and it was in, 2011, 2012. I remember I did it, and I could barely get, if I showed you a picture from back then, it was the worst handlebars I've ever seen. They were so thin and soft. It was hilarious. But yeah, I did them for the rough and rowdy, and then the rough and rowdy obviously went viral and popped off. And then I kind of realized, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of stuck with this now, because this is how people are going to recognize me. And yeah, it was kind of a part of the character, and I kept it, and yeah, it just kind of became a thing.
Oh, we linked up today. I didn't see the handlebars. I thought, wow, who's this good-looking stud in this nice vehicle here?
Yeah, it's definitely a different look. I definitely don't get people don't recognize me as much, which is it's kind of nice at times when I'm at the rink. But it's funny. Like I was skating in Kelowna there last week, and I had some younger junior player came up to me, and he's like, "Whoa, man!" He's like, "I actually didn't know you were like a real human." Like he's just like, I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I just thought you were like I was like," and I finished his sentence. I said, "A cartoon character?" And he says, "Yeah, like cartoon character." And he kind of like goes like this, and I was like laughing. I'm like, "That's funny." And yeah, it was a good way to meet someone. It was funny.
Well, it's got to be so weird though, being like your average person, seeing you on their phone on Instagram or on TikTok, and seeing the fights and seeing the celebrations and hyping up the crowd and all that fun stuff, and then to see you in person is like, whoa, like. And I think like the big celebrities are different. Like they're not really relatable like the Logan Pauls or the Kim Kardashians. But to see your average guy who's playing minor pro hockey doing some big things on the internet and social media, and to see him in person, it's like, oh my God, like that's the guy.
He's a real person.
That's the new starstruck.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like you get to see a lot of young kids and stuff. When they first recognize you and they come up and they want to get a picture and stuff, and it feels good. It's fun, man. It's like, I remember being on that end of things, and I'm sure you do too, and I'm sure you get it all the time too, where people see you and they're like, "Oh, there he is. That's Trav." It's a good feeling. It feels good. You work hard. Like you work hard to build this platform, to build this. We've marketed ourselves and stuff, and it's that's kind of the reward. It's kind of nice, and to be honest, at times I could only imagine being like a big time star. Like you wouldn't be able to go anywhere. It'd be pretty crazy, but you got to be grateful for it, because it's you put all this work in, and that's kind of like the reward.
Well, what's the quote from Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. And as you're growing your stuff and you're helping these kids and you're inspiring them and you're giving them something to really smile about, you also get the dickheads of the world that are living in their mom's basement using their Wi-Fi from their mother to shit talk you in the comment section, and you got to deal with the good and the bad.
How impossible is it to like avoid looking at those comments? Like, do you ever just like, for whatever reason, just dig for them?
Like, do I look for them specifically?
Yeah, like
No.
Do you ever just scroll through, like knowing you're gonna run into them?
So I've had an interesting relationship with that, because I've been doing this for a while, right? Like I remember I first started putting my face, my voice in videos probably in like 2017, no, maybe like 2016, 2017. And as time has gone on, obviously the following and the likability and then the hate also kind of goes with it, right? If 3% of the audience hates you and you have 50,000 followers versus 500, that 3% is a whole lot bigger. Instead of this one guy with user 303, there's like 300 of them, right? But at first I would get into the comments with everybody. And if anybody had anything negative to say, I'd clap back. I'd search them up on Facebook, right? Like, this guy's a delivery driver at Domino's Pizza, and this guy's talking shit to me. Like, what a nerd.
Yeah.
But then after a while, there becomes so many of them. If you spend your entire time putting out fires, you're just going to be a firefighter. And then it got to the point, too, like my mom, like, she's my biggest fan. Like, she loves me so much. And she would get into the weeds with people in the comment section, clap back. And I just called her one day. I'm like, listen, Mom, I love you. It's not worth your time. Just I'm gonna make sure that you can't comment. So I've restricted her so she can't comment on my stuff anymore. Because every now and then I would see a comment and then I'd be like, okay.
She can't help it.
Yeah, she loves me, right?
It's your mother, yeah,
of course.
Yeah,
right?
I understand that.
But as time's gone on, though, I've tried to compartmentalize it into people are going to tell you you're better than you are. They're also going to tell you you're worse than you are. The truth is usually somewhere in the middle. And one thing that I've really picked up from Matt, like Matt Murray, is like curate your reality very carefully, because you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And even if it's interacting with some dickhead on Instagram for 3 replies a day, you're affiliating with that. And you don't want that to curate your reality, because if you have the free time to go on the internet and talk shit to me or talk shit to you or to, I know we were talking before we started recording, but if you're going to find a picture of some dude's kids before the game on Saturday night to blow it up on a poster on a cardboard cutout and put it behind the glass, you're a low life. You got nothing going on in your life. And I don't want to affiliate with that or have you influence my reality, because you're a direct reflection of how you think, and your thoughts are going to lead to the results that you have in your life. And I don't want to be like you. So I'm going to totally disregard it. And it's difficult sometimes because that emotional involvement and that ego sometimes does get the better of me, where I'm like, there's a little bit of truth in that comment. That like 2% truth, 98% falsities, if you want to call it that. But like, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I'm pretty good now. Like at first it would bother me more, but like as it comes more and more, like once you start to realize it correlates with your growth, and you start to realize that the bigger your page get or the more views you get on something, the more of that you're gonna get. So it's like almost now when I see it, I almost know I'm doing something right. I'm like almost like, okay, this is a good video. If I got a bunch of people in there chirping me, that means it's a good video. Because obviously, like you said, you know, you get those bigger numbers, all of a sudden you get a bigger number of haters. In general, it all correlates. Yeah, I do pretty good at avoiding it. I don't really look, but every once in a while I'll just be scrolling through and I'll catch one. And like you said, you read it and you're like, you know, it's hard not to let it get you. We're like, am I that? You know, like, am I that? But yeah, no, I'm pretty good at handling it. It's a part of it. You know, I could only imagine, like I said, I've said it a million times, I can only imagine being like a Joe Rogan or somebody where it's like just an infinite amount of haters, obviously an infinite amount of, you know, of followers that love them and stuff, but you're going to have the other end of it would just be crazy.
But the beauty of that, though, with the Joe Rogans compared to us, is with the Joe Rogan, I don't know about you, there's no way I'm ever going to get, you know, a piece of communication from Joe Rogan, like sending an email or text, unless I got up to that echelon, which obviously I'm not. But for you and I, if you're some kid, let's say in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, watching Diamond Hands' videos, or you're in Halifax, Nova Scotia, watching my videos of training, you're one Instagram message away from connecting and likely getting a response back and having that that barrier between you and your phone screen connected through a message and that personal touch, which I'm sure you experience a lot. Like Matt and I were talking about this the other day. Is like you'll meet people and they'll tell you your life story, like they know you personally, even though you've never met them.
Yeah.
Which is such an interesting dynamic. But I always try to take the angle of they know my life story, which is interesting. But if I get to know theirs, it kind of balances the playing field a bit more. Yeah. So like to ask questions like, oh, where do you play? What are you doing? Like, how old are you? Like, tell me a little bit more about you. And it fosters a really good relationship. And I think also like the loyalty in your audience, because you have the ability to influence that the way that a Kim Kardashian and Joe Rogan never will. Like because they're not relatable.
Just being able to communicate and stuff. Like I try and respond to as many people as I can. Obviously, there's sometimes it's like you can't get to everyone, obviously. But you know, every once in a while, I'll go back into my message requests and I'll start digging and I'll start finding stuff. And it's crazy.
The Kansas City Mavericks head coach in my messages.
Yeah.
These are the hidden requests.
Sometimes you'll come across stuff and you're like, whoa, how did I miss it? It might even be an old friend or somebody that I went to school with or whatever. And I've had that stuff happen. It's super cool. But yeah, it's rewarding. Everything's rewarding. You know, you put the work in, and you know, at the end of the day, the haters are going to come. But I tend to know when I get the more haters I got, that you know correlates with I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So.
Well, and there's nothing worse than if you were to post something and for nobody to care.
Exactly.
Like, people are going to feel one of two ways. They're going to love it or they're going to hate it. And if they feel nothing, you failed. So the fact that they hate you, that's great.
Getting a reaction, yeah.
Bingo. Like, well, if you're going to warm-ups and you're chirping the Cincinnati Cyclones at center ice and a mic'd up video, and all the Cincinnati fans are like, I hate this guy. That's good. I made you feel something. I'm glad you're not empty inside. Right? This is fantastic. This is good for business as well. But.
It's great. Yeah, it's good for business. Most importantly, it's good for I mean, it's good for our team. The more attention I can get away from, you know, when I'm doing that kind of stuff, essentially my real, you know, a lot of people ask like why I would do that, or you know they might just think it's for the aesthetic. Oh, he's doing this because he's mic'd up. It's like, no, I do that with a mic or not with a mic because I want to get everybody on the other team focused on me. Like that's a part of my role, you know. Like if I can get the whole team worried about what I'm doing or where I am on the ice or when I'm coming out, you know, looking over their shoulder, oh my God, I don't want to deal with this guy. Just thinking about me, that's a little bit less energy. They're going to be focused on scoring a goal or doing what their job is to do. So, like that's what a lot of people might not realize. They think that a lot of that stuff is just, oh, he's mic'd up, he's just doing this for that. It's like, no, I'm doing that because I've learned over time how to be the most effective agitator and the most effective diamond hands as I can, and it tends to work. And you know, I've learned to really lean into it, and I mean, I have fun with it too. So.
Would you agree, too, that hockey players, a lot of them are extremely mentally fragile, and if you can inspire weakness in your enemy, you're only a few steps away from just making them completely break?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's with just anybody in society at all. Like, I feel like, there's always, you can push certain spots, and eventually you're going to hit one. And if you can get that person to crack up here, it's over. They can't score a goal. They can't, So it's, I think at the end of the day, it's just kind of a mental warfare thing that I tend to learn. I learned how to use it to my advantage.
The presenting sponsor for today's show, the Daily Wire Plus. They have this incredible collection, the Jordan Peterson Mastering Life collection. They sponsored last week's show. They're back again. Seriously great watch. And if you just go to the Daily Wire Plus, you get their entire catalog of podcasts, whether it's my favorite right now is Matt Walsh's Am I a Racist? I love that one.
Haven't seen it yet. It's on my watch list.
It's the top of the list. Also, his What is a Woman is fantastic.
I've seen that one.
They got the Ben Shapiro show. They have so many shows on Daily Wire Plus. I highly recommend it. And we talked last week in depth about getting the most as a man, managing your marriage, managing relationships, negotiating the art of the deal. All that is in JP, Jordan Peterson's Mastering Life collection. Dave and I couldn't recommend it enough. We're so excited and so proud to have the Daily Wire Plus on the podcast. And right now, if you go to the link in the video description on the YouTube show, click on that link, use the code BIzkit30, BIZKIT 30. You're going to get 30% off your subscription from the Daily Wire Plus. And again, thank you so much to them for joining the show, and we are so proud to have them on. You think you're one of the most hated men in hockey?
Yeah, I got to be number 2 behind you, I think. I'd say number 2.
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult, but I'll take it.
I think it's a compliment. We just said it correlates with our growth and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, I think when I really think about it, I'm like, I'm definitely hated, 100%. I know that for a fact. But I was like, am I hated more than Trav? I don't know. I think Trav's got to be a close second, though. I'm tailing you.
I find that so interesting because I'm just a dude who's being myself. Like I'm training, I'm posting videos, making saves and practices, or working hard, or just talking about hey, listen, if you want to get something done that's unique, you got to do something unique.
Yeah.
And I have a goal just like yours. Maybe you want to be an electrician, you want to be a plumber, you want to be a tradesman, an entrepreneur. I want to be an elite goaltender at the minor pro level. We all have goals. I'm sticking to it, and you should too. It's a universal truth. But for whatever reason, people get so enraged by that. I don't know if it's a reflection back of I'm sticking with something that maybe they quit, or it shows a reflection back that makes them angry. But I thought for sure, when you started popping up, I'm like, oh, this guy's going to take my spot for being the most hated. Because you're pissing people off. You're you're a loser. I'm going to jump you. I hate you. You should go back to the UK, which, we can get into that a little bit later. I'm just a dude who's just training.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I feel like if anybody deserves it, it would be me more. I feel like I should be definitely the most hated man in hockey. I'm really going out there and asking for it, obviously, in a way, the way I play and stuff like that. It's great. If you're a fan of the team that I'm on, or if you're a fan of me, then you're probably, you love it. But, it's like everybody knows that guys like me, you love to have them on your team, hate to play against them. It's a classic saying, right? So, I think I probably deserve the title for sure, more than you.
Is there anybody that inspires you for that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, honestly, it's crazy, because when I grew up, I always looked up to the Bob Proberts and the Bougards and just the legit super heavies. I thought those guys were which they are, I still feel that way, but that's who I always tried to play like. And when I was in junior, I was the most respectful player in the world. You'd never catch me slashing a guy. You'd never catch me. I didn't chirp. I'd line up beside the toughest guy on the other team and say, George Larocque, hey, would you like to fight? So respectful, yes or no? No, okay, no problem, yes, okay. I swear that's how I played. I obviously played hard too, and eventually whatever. But I played a pretty respectful game. I didn't really lean into the agitator side as much. And then when I got into Columbus in the SPHL, when I first got called up from the SB, it was my first season playing pro. And I played for Jerome Bouchard, and he came up to me and he said, he's like, hey, you want to move up? You want to make it to the next level? I was like, yeah, of course I do. And he said, well, you're not going to be George Larocque or a Bob Probert at the next level. You're going to be a Sean Avery or a Matt Cook or, something like that. And I was kind of like, whoa, he kind of basically told me, hey, you're not going to be the toughest, you're not going to be the biggest fish in the pond if you move up, but you can be even more effective than that guy if you do this, this, and this. And ever since then, I really did take that into and I learned from it. And, that season was pretty crazy for me because it was the first time I searched out doing some going after a goal scorer and telling him I'm going to come after you. That was the first time I ever done that. I'm going to get you. If it's not this shift, it'll be next shift. And it was to growl at him and look at him I'm coming for you. And then I realized the guy would just fold. He would fold. He would just go away, disappear, wouldn't score a goal. A guy that's scoring 2 goals a game. And I started to realize, I'm like, oh my God. And I started to do that, and guess what happened? Boom, I got called up right away. And I started to realize, I'm like, this is a cheat code. And so I just kind of leaned into it, and I started doing it more and more. And And now it's kind of funny because now I'm kind of in a position where I am probably one of the bigger fish in the pond. I am probably one of the tougher guys. I'm able to handle myself against anyone. I'm comfortable fighting anybody on ice, and I feel like I can do well, but I'm also still leaning into that side. So it's even more, I feel like it's even more of a takes people out a little bit mentally because they're like, oh my God, this guy can handle our tough guy and he's coming for me.
You think there's like a hole in the market that opened with fighting kind of slowly dissolving out of hockey? And so you've kind of stepped in that role where you don't have as much competition as you had 10, 20 years ago. And so now when you're going after their star player, they don't have the backup to kind of take you out. So now you, like Warren Buffett would say, if there's a gold rush, don't look for gold, buy shovels.
Right.
You're the shovel.
Yeah, exactly. So like at the end of the day, it's like, the pendulum was swinging and I knew it would come back because it's like when the Broad Street Bullies came back in the day, they realized they had a cheat code. They're like, oh my God, if we scare the shit out of everybody, they're not going to be able to play. Their tails are going to be between their legs. They're just going to want to go home. And then we're going to score goals and we're going to win because nobody's going to want to go in the corner for a puck. So what happened is the game gets soft. Obviously the game starts swinging. They start going away from fighting. And then all of a sudden, boom, it starts to come back. And people start to realize, Rempe starts running around, making a big stir. Teams start putting their tail between their legs. Now everybody's starting to realize, okay, maybe the cheat code, maybe we forgot about this cheat code. It is a thing. So now I feel like the pendulum's swinging back because everybody's starting to realize again, hey, there's a reason that this worked, And so now I feel like the pendulum's swinging again. And I think this upcoming season is going to be I'm really excited for this upcoming season, just in every league. I just want to see what happens with the game. But I have a feeling it's just going to keep swinging a little bit more. I don't think it's going to get crazy out of hand, but I think you're going to see the fights go up again this year. And hockey was the most entertaining. Last season in the NHL was probably the most entertaining year of hockey. Like, if you look at the numbers in the Stanley Cup Finals, they had the best numbers. They beat the MLB and NBA Finals for the last 5 years, which is probably pretty unheard of for hockey to do something like that. So I think if it continues in that way where you're getting all these big heavies coming in, guys like Rempe, stirring things up, now McDermott's getting a big contract, So I think if that keeps coming with all the skill in the game, this is like unbeatable. What's a better sport to watch than hockey or with early 2000s tough guys, but with the 2024 skill? There's literally no sport better.
I don't want to do him an injustice, but for Rempe, how quick was it? He had 2, maybe 3 fights in a week. He was on every single Instagram Explore page, every TikTok for you. He was everywhere. And in reality, what do you have? 2, 3 fights? That was it. But because it's so unheard of and it doesn't happen much, you have the ability to make a big splash in the pond.
Yeah, and that was a normal thing. When I started my first year in hockey, it was a normal thing. 2 fights in a game wasn't uncommon for a guy. So seeing a guy like that come in and really start ruffling feathers because he was going. And then it kind of woke up everyone else, I feel like. Everyone else is like, oh. Like, I feel like if I'm the Reeves in the league and I see this Rempe come in, he's getting all the attention, it's going to be pretty tough to not kind of be like, hey, I better start laying the boots now to some people. Like, you're going to kind of be a little pissed, this young guy, 21 years old, and everybody's talking about him. So I feel like, at the end of the day, exciting guy to watch. I think everybody, hate him or love him. I'm sure there's a percentage of people that hate him, but I loved it. And I've never been so excited to watch hockey as I am for this upcoming season.
Well, what's the old saying? A rising tide raises all ships. And we're here at the Vancouver Lookout. The tide's not too far away in English Bay right behind us. Beautiful spot, by the way. Shout out to the Vancouver Lookout for hooking us up for today. But who is your Mount Rushmore for fighters? Do you have one? 4. I believe there's 4 guys on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I was going to thank God.
5?
Yeah, thankfully you gave me that. I probably would have given you 5.
How much you want to bet? Someone in the comment section. That's the CTE showing right there. Those 2 guys.
Yeah. Well, they've said that since the very beginning. But okay, so obviously Bob Probert, number 1. Like, that's a no-brainer. I'd go Boogeyman LaRock 2 and 3, and then I go Scott Parker 4. Yeah.
What do you think of Ty Domi, Paul Bissonnette, and Rob Ray? Beating up a fan in the penalty box and in your own bench is legendary.
Yeah, like Ty Domi, I'd say pound for pound. I don't know if Ty Domi's up there, man. Like, he was such a beast for a little guy too. Like, he would go up against everybody. The fights against Probert, like, nothing but respect for a guy like that. Yeah, but I'm going super heavies. I'd have to go with those 4.
Do you see the video tribute? I think it was Rob Ray and Ty Domi sat down and watched all their fights throughout their careers. Do you see that video?
Yeah.
It's a couple months ago. Beautiful tribute.
Super cool. Yeah, and it's cool to see. Like, I feel like for a fan's perspective to get an inside look, and like, even when I talk to people and stuff, and they'll you know, they kind of pick my brain about it because I feel like now that I have the podcast and I talk, people see who I am. But then before, all they seen was me on the ice, and they'd be like, oh my God, this is who this guy is. And they paint a picture of who I am. And then now they see me on the podcast, they're like, wait a second, I'm confused. That's not who he is. He's this evil guy, this mean dude that's barking at people, but he can laugh and make jokes. Like, I think so I think that's a cool dynamic for them to be able to see that. And shows like that, where you get to see these guys sitting side by side, you're like, wait, why don't they hate each other? Like, you know, these guys beat their snot out of each other. Why are they're just friends now? They hug, you know? So I think it's cool for people to see. And that just shows you that it's a part of the game. It's a part of the sport, you know? So
I've always found too, the toughest, scariest, most intimidating guys out there are always the nicest.
Yeah, I think if you ever heard like the Jordan Peterson quote where he talks about like a good man, and he's like a good, if you're harmless, can you really be a good man? You know, to be a good man, you have to be very dangerous and not use that power and not use that, and then you can call yourself a good man. And I think like there's something that correlates with when guys are really tough, not having something to prove. Like if somebody fights all the time and they know they can fight, like what do you have to prove? You just put the gun on your hip. If you need it, you can use it. But I think like there's something honorable about when you have the ability, but you don't need to use it. Like obviously there's a time and a place. I can use my ability on the ice when things get out of hand or when I need to. But I mean, you'd never catch me off the ice fighting somebody, or I mean, unless it was to protect somebody, or unless it was out of like my heart, like what I felt in my heart I needed to do. Not something like I would never be barking at somebody. And I think that's like a misconception a lot of people give big tough guys and fighters and stuff like that. I mean, you see it all the time when you meet MMA guys or boxers, and you know, I mean, lots of guys that fight, just like you said, they're just like really big-hearted guys, and they're just, you know, nice to talk to. And I feel like it's a cool thing, you know.
Well, there's something respectable too, like you mentioned about a man having that monster in the cage and having the ability to open the cage, but to put him right back in when you need to and control that. Someone's so respectable about that.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's, you know, I was literally listening to that on the way down. I heard that, and I'm like, man, like I've heard it before, but when I heard it on the way here, I was like, you know, it's a cool point, and I think that you know, it's very well said.
You're prepping for the show. I like it.
Yeah, of course, right?
Big question for you. Can you show us the Jello nose?
The Jello nose?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
what's the angle right over here?
The camera right there.
Yeah.
For
So
all the
it's
viewers at
kind of
home.
squished. It doesn't really. The kids.
You
like
get a 45-point turn the other way too.
This way.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got, when I couldn't breathe through this thing for a couple of years. It got broke bad. Dennis Sicard, I don't know if you ever knew who this guy was, but he was probably 5'7". You know, like me, I feel like I might give him an inch here, but he was a little dude. And I played against him in the SP, and he wouldn't wear shoulder pads, ever. Never wore shoulder pads, and he'd wear a jersey that was way too big for him. So, and he'd fight anybody. And when I'd fight this guy, you couldn't tie him up because he was swimming in this giant jersey. And I mean, my nose had been broken a few times before, but this guy put one on my nose this one time, and it just crushed it, broke it bad. So I couldn't breathe through my nose for years. It was probably like 2 or 3 years. Finally, I get into a doctor, you know, in Canada, which, you know, takes 9 months to get in. Takes 9 months to see the specialist.
Easy,
and
boy.
Another
Easy.
9 months. Another
Don't
9
get us
months.
canceled.
Oh, yeah. And then, so then I finally get my surgery, and I remember I had these like fat Slurpee straw splints up my nose for a week. Finally, I was able to pull them out, and I go to the doctor's office, and he pulls these things out of my nose. And I could breathe, and I was like, oh, it was just the best feeling ever. I was literally teary-eyed. I gave the doctor the biggest hug. He like went to shake my hand, and I just gave him the biggest hug. I'm like, thank you, man. It was so great. And he's like, yeah, like I actually helped you out. Like I know you fight and stuff like that. So we actually got rid of some of the cartilage in your nose. So I think he cauterized a lot of the veins and stuff up there. So I got a Jello nose, man. I get punched on the nose. I don't really bleed, you know, just on the bottom side. So it's kind of nice.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Doc.
That's one of a kind.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have that, or that you know of, or just you?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it before. I think people have gotten the, you know, surgeries and stuff like that. But, you know, yeah, definitely a thing.
We do have a couple of things in common, though. We both spent parts of 2 years in the Fed, obviously in different capacities for the both of us. We also play for the same team.
Vale Yeti.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Shout out to the Vale Yeti. Beautiful Vale, Colorado.
Yeah.
Heart of the Rockies, 3 hours west of Denver.
Yeah. It's a good thing that I went before you because they figured out the mics. So when you got there, they had the mics in order.
So we were talking about this before we started recording. The rumor has it, there's no confirmation, this is what I was told, was that if you've seen any of the mic'd up videos, they were fantastic with Diamond Hands. But so they mic'd them up in Vail. That was the whole purpose, was to get some mic'd up videos. And somebody was so out of gas from the altitude sickness that all you heard was
Literally. That's probably true. Yeah.
and so that they had to scrap the whole video. Now, innocent until proven guilty. But the man in front of me said that wasn't the case. He said the Bluetooth wasn't working.
No, there was no. Yeah, there was no audio. There was no audio, unless they were just trying to spare me from listening to myself huffing and puffing. But yeah, one of the best clips that they could have got that they actually missed. They didn't even get video of it. I got absolutely ruined by some like little like rat goal scorer. Like he was just like I don't even know who this guy was, like a Yarko Rutu. I don't even know who I could like compare this guy to. Just like, man, he got me. So like, me and this guy, I was kind of giving it to him all game. I'm like, hitting him when I could, like whatever. And he ends up coming off the bench and blindsides me with a cross check to the head. And I'm laying on the ice and I'm like, I get up, and as I get up, I'm just like, it was a 1-goal game. We were down by 1 goal, and I was thinking I'm going to beeline this guy, but I looked, the ref's got his arm up, and I'm like, I'm not here all season. If I was here all season, then maybe I'd take this guy out and even it up, jump him or whatever. I soaked it. I said, you win this round, buddy. You're in the box. You got a 5-minute major. We scored. We ended up winning the game.
Hey,
so.
you kept that monster in the cage. Kept the monster in the cage.
Yeah.
It's respectable.
Yeah, there you go. But hey, no video footage, so can't even really prove it happened.
The fans are insane, though. They are so passionate. Sold out crowd, about 2,000 people at home, sold out capacity. They are hungry for hockey. And unlike the fans in the South, like the Mississippi fans that love hockey and don't know why they love it, the people in Denver know why they love it. And they want that rough, tough hockey. They want the fights, the hitting, the goals, the action. It's loud. I would honestly argue, now keep in mind, I haven't seen all the Fed rinks because, different capacities for parts of 2 seasons, but I would argue that Vail has probably a better crowd, better fan base than 3/4 of all the teams in the Fed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they are so into the game. Like, that's a place you want to play.
Yeah, I think that would be a great place to have a team, even like a coast team. I feel like you could have a coast team.
Well, they're renovating the arena, though.
Yeah, if they had a little bit bigger of a barn or whatever, I think that a coast team there would be super cool.
Well, Kyle was telling me they're lifting the roof off. I think they're going to be changing locations for this season, but they're adding an extra 1,500 seats in the arena, so they're going to do 3,500 instead of 2,000.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be crazy. Yeah, that was a fun place to play. I had a blast, and it was very intimate, quiet, or not quiet. It was loud, but it was like tight. You can really see the fans and stuff, like, and everybody's rowdy. The whole town shows up. Everybody's out drinking. Like, it was that was a blast of experience. So when I was in Vail, so like it's 9,000 feet, and they're probably right about the mic'd up thing. You walk up the stairs, you're huffing and puffing. It's crazy. Like the air's thin up there. So we're leaving for the game, and I'm like, we're playing senior hockey. These guys are like, hey, we're going to go to the game. This is 2 hours before the game. I'm thinking, like, why are we going to a senior hockey game 2 hours before? But I'm all like, yeah, let's get in the truck. So we drive down, and we get in the truck, and we park, and we get out, and we're walking, and I'm like, we're not going to grab our gear. They're like, oh, no, not yet. We're just going to stop in here. And I'm like, okay. So we walk in, and then we walk into a bar, and I'm like, oh, what are we doing? We're just like, oh, we're just grabbing a espresso martini before the game. And I'm like, senior hockey is rad, let's go. We had a couple of espresso martinis pregame, and I was feeling loose, but it didn't help the lungs.
I would imagine. And then Breckenridge is 10,000 feet, but Vail's, I think, 89 or 8,800 feet.
Yeah, so we played in Vail on Friday night, and then Breck on Saturday night. So, and Breck was sold out too, packed barn. It was,
They're insane too.
Yeah.
I don't know about
yeah.
you. I had this one guy behind the net. He was on me for the first and the second period. He kept yelling at me, Trav, I know you don't pay your taxes. Now keep in mind, this was in March, so it was about a month before tax season. So at that point, I had not paid my taxes for the previous year. But at this point, I can confirm I have paid my taxes for the year.
That is hilarious.
So I have squared up.
I respect it. That's so funny. What a good shirt.
And like that little crack through the glass?
Yeah, you can hear him as clear as day.
Trav, you don't pay your taxes. I know you haven't paid them.
That's hilarious.
This is great. Almost like and I'm sure you know him, the toga guy in Carolina, the Thunderbirds with the bullhorn behind the net. And shout out to that guy. He listens to the show as well.
Oh yeah, cool. Right on, yeah.
Yeah, so that's nutty.
Yeah, I was, you'll get into it every once in a while with the fans. And you're like, you guys are brutal, but I mean, I respect it. At the end of the day, those are the guys that are paying the bills. So.
Mm-hmm. Do you like fighting?
Yeah.
Like, what is your approach though? Like, you're going into a game, you got to fight somebody. Like, do you like it? Are you worried? Do you have a game plan? Is it just let's see how it goes?
I like the rush. Yeah, like I'm like a little bit of adrenaline junkie. I like to be I want to be the guy. I want to be the guy at the front door when someone comes knocking. I don't want to have to be you. I don't want to have it to be my my wife and kids or my mom. And I want those people to be behind me. I want to be the first line of defense. And that's kind of how I play the game. It's just my character. I love it. Fighting is I feel like the first time I got in a real fight, something about it just made me feel free. I was like, wow, like I'm alive. Because it was scary. It was intense. I felt like it was dangerous. And then when I realized I survived it, I was like, man, that was cool. Like it was just such a freeing feeling. And I think ever since then, I kind of like really enjoyed it. And then, you know, the added bonus of it is the fans love it. And it's just like just everything about it is just, it's fun for me, man. And that's not the only reason I fight. Like, I mean, it makes it easy, right? It makes it easier because a lot of guys do it because they have to, which I also do it because I have to. And the other reason, obviously, that I'm fighting is I want to play at the highest level I can. And obviously that gives me the ability, as everybody can see, I'm playing in the coast. You know, if I wasn't fighting, I definitely wouldn't be playing in the coast right now. So it's been a blessing, and it is something that I tend to enjoy a little bit. But I still feel the fear. I still feel the anxieties. I still get the sleepless nights. You know, I've gone into fights, especially like, you know, ice wars or boxing. I remember the second ice wars, I remember just thinking to myself as I was about to go into the ring, I'm like, why do I do this to myself? Like, what am I doing? Like, why would I sign up for this? Like, what an idiot. Like, I literally felt all those feelings right before going into war. And then you get in there and you just end up, you can't stop now. Everybody's here to watch. The fans are here. You're in the ring and now you got to do it. And then you do it and you survive it and you're like, let's go. You're like in a war in your own mind. So there's something about the battle within the battle that I really tend to enjoy.
There's something like primal about it.
Yeah.
Like it's hardwired in us.
100%.
Like you're afraid of it, but when you get into that, it's that hardwiring that's been programmed for tens of thousands of years of, okay, this is what we do. And on the other end of your consequences, for some guys, there's violence that appears.
Yeah.
So here we go.
And the violence is like, you know, like I said, the violence is like, that's the whole that's the thing that makes it like fun. That's the thing that makes it scary and gets the heart going. And then there's also this other side of it, this like, that maybe many people wouldn't understand it, but like there is also this like intimacy of this, like, it's like a dance with this person and like nothing else matters. Like there's nothing else going on in you and this man's brain other than war. Like I'm trying to take you out, you're trying to take me out. There's nothing else going on. It's almost like it's a pretty crazy like spiritual experience. That's how I feel anyways. I don't feel like there's many things that have that much of an energetic transfer with another human other than fighting and maybe one other thing that I can think of. But I think it's a very, very unique thing, and I don't think you can get that feeling or that sort of intimacy in many other situations.
But regardless of the outcome, there's a mutual respect for one another that we both did this together.
Yeah, 100%. And like honestly, I don't even know if I can name anybody that I fought that I don't like. Honestly. I really don't. Like maybe a couple people, but like the list is seldom.
Like who?
I don't even know, man. Like I can't think of somebody that I fought that I would want to just say their name and be like, that guy's a freaking whatever, you know? I honestly don't. Like there is some guys, but like not like, I still respect them. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And, you know, if you're willing to stand up and give a fair fight, then I have, you know, nothing but respect for that.
And if I could, I think you may be the only guy that I've ever heard of or seen that will try to motivate his opposition mid-fight.
Yeah.
Because there's the video that I'm referencing. You're fighting Justin Schmidt, my former teammate in Watertown. Schmidt, I hope you're doing well. And you're fighting him, and as you're both punching each other in the head, you're like, come on, Schmitty, a little harder. Let's go. You can do this. Come on. You're trying to inspire motivation instead of weakness in your opposition. This is incredible.
Yeah, and it's like, honestly, it's one of those things, and like, obviously, Schmitty's a good friend. Like, me and him have a cool connection, and you know, at the end of the day, it's still a fight. You know, we're still trying to hurt each other. We're still trying to, it's not about us at that point. It has nothing to do with us. It's about the logo on our chest. It's about our team and the men behind us. And, you know, at that point, you know, that there's a couple different types of fights. There's a fight where you're fighting to get the team going and to get the crowd into it, which was that. And then later that game, in the exact same clip, you'll see a video of, hey, he went after my guy. Now I'm coming out. This is a different fight. Now this is a fight like, fuck you. You're going after one of my teammates. You know, like this is a different type of fight. And you'll see the one video where it's me and Schmitty, we're going toe to toe. I'm like, come on, let's go. Give me your lefts, give me your rights, let's go. And we're like literally talking to each other as we're punching each other. And then we're still friends, respect, nothing but respect. Later that game, he goes after Ojic, and I come out, and it's you. I'm coming for you. And you'll see the video. I'm yelling at him, mother effer, the whole video. You can hear me. You have to beep the whole video out when you post it, because it's like, and that's what and it's the difference. And then now I'm out of the game, and after, guess where we are? We're upstairs having a beer, hugging it out. He's saying, F you, I can't believe you did that. And I'm saying, F you, I can't believe you did that. Cheers.
The Fed, though, do you want to talk a little bit about that? About your lifetime ban?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's like a thing they do, isn't it? Like,
they ban guys for life?
Yeah, isn't that like I mean, it was for you, it was for me. Like,
well,
it's a threat they like to throw around anyways.
Allow me to spin this in a way that I think a lot of people can understand. And I'll just use this analogy because it's comparable, and I think a lot of people hopefully see it. And if you don't see that, well, I think maybe you're being a little bit ignorant. But let's use politics for the example. If somebody came into the game and changed everything up and shook it up and said, this is wrong, I want to do something for the people, the guys who are the gatekeepers and in charge would probably say, no, we're not playing the game that way. We're going to play the game our way, and we're going to shuffle the deck in our favor. Now, in the game of minor pro hockey, if some dude comes in, hypothetically, possibly, potentially, maybe, who knows, a fighter or maybe a goalie, I'm not saying who, but maybe possibly, and he comes in and he's bringing people to the rink, he's putting asses in seats, dollars in the bank account, which, again, for a lot of the teams that I played for, that's what we care about. We care about dollars and cents, because it's a very tight budget, obviously. But if that dude is putting dollars and cents in the bank, but potentially grabbing more power than us in the process, do we kill him in his infancy, or do we ride it out and try to work as a net beneficial relationship, on a win-win-win? If you're winning and I'm winning, we're winning. But I think a lot of guys don't look past that.
Well, now, some people don't have the capacity to think like that.
I think a lot of people think, how do I want to word this? I didn't prepare for this beforehand. I think a lot of people in minor pro sports think in a selfish way, not in self-enlightenment, of how can we win. And we were talking about this on our walk, to the lookout, was if I can give to you and fill your cup up, you're going to give some back to my cup. But if I tell you what you can put in your cup, you're probably going to resent me. Right? And if you win, I win. If we win, everybody wins. But they don't see past that. And so they
just want to fill your cup with their stuff.
Well, they're going to tell you what cup to use, and they're going to tell you what's going to go in it. And if you don't like it, well, too bad. And so, for example, let's say team in Binghamton, one of the guys has a DV, beats the shit out of his wife, and one of the guys in the league comes out and says, allegedly, and one of the guys in the league says, hey, that's wrong. We should not be doing that. And the commissioner says, hey, take that down, or we're going to suspend you 5 games for posting that. And that player was to say, potentially, hypothetically, no, I'm not taking it down. I said what I meant what I said, and suspend me if you like. Okay, well, we're going to come down in person to your team's location. We're going to have a meeting and talk about the suspension. All right, come on down. Day of the meeting, they're not going to be suspending you, and the meeting is canceled. Fascinating.
Wow.
As my life coach would say,
Crazy.
Fascinating. Isn't it fascinating how that works?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Or maybe, possibly, potentially, if a dude posts his fights online and is gaining all this popularity, all these followers, all these eyeballs, gaining brand, gaining power away from the team, maybe we got to get rid of him because he's going to have more power than us. And he has the potential to bury us. And because as an owner in minor pro hockey, you've already won the money game. Right? Like if you have 100, 200, 500 million in the bank, like what's an extra 500 million going to do for you? So at that point, it's about power and control. So how do I assert more power and control considering I've won the money game? Well, I'm not going to give you any of it. I don't care how many fight videos you post online or how many cute little vlogs you post online, getting how many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views. You're gaining power and I want it.
Yeah.
Leave.
I think like it has to be a lesson, and whoever it is, if they're in a scenario like that, they have to learn from it. Like at the end of the day, my situation was great. I feel like it was the best thing for me when it happened. I always know bad things happening or they create growth and they're good. Like there's nothing bad that can happen to me because I know that every bad thing makes me stronger, makes me a better human. I can grow from it. So there's literally nothing bad that can happen. So when that first happened to me, I was like, okay, because it was hard. And I was like, okay, I know this is for me. I just got to wait it out, and I just got to breathe for a couple days. I was with AJ when I first found out. I was done. Hockey was over for me, pretty much, is how I felt. And that's what they wanted. They wanted to end my hockey career. They wanted me to never play hockey again, and that's what they thought. But what a great lesson for them, because look where I am now, and I'm growing. I'm continuing to grow, and I'm gonna continue to grow. And I'm able to play in a place where not only the league is grateful, but the teams are grateful, and they want the marketing. You know, it's a good thing, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, I think it's got to be a lesson for whoever was. I don't even know who was on the other end of that whole situation. Really, I can make a guess.
If there was a situation.
Yeah, right. So like whoever decided that I wasn't in the league, but I think it's got to be a great lesson for them that, you know, if you're trying to knock somebody down, guess what? They're going to grow even bigger, because that's a lesson for you to learn. So I'm grateful it happened the way it did, and I'm grateful everything went down. I wouldn't change any of it because you know, it got me where I am today. And at the end of the day, that's. It's growth, and I'm moving up as I was.
And on the other side of adversity, the bigger the adversity, the bigger the growth. It's very uncomfortable in the middle, sorry. But again, the bigger adversity, the bigger the growth. And just to paint the story, so if maybe anybody doesn't know, so you were playing against Motor City Rockers, my former employer. Run his head through the glass, I guess is how they saw things, right, after a goal. And they give you 18 games for it. You sit out 16 games? 16 of the 18. And then right as this...
Or maybe 12, I can't remember.
So let's go 12. Let's go conservative here. So you're on the 12-game suspension. You get 6 left to go. They decide, it's been a month, 6 weeks has gone by already. We're going to give you an indefinite suspension. Now, it's not a lifetime ban. That's very different. It's an indefinite suspension. We don't know how long it's going to be, but it's not a lifetime ban. Now, we don't have a reason for it, but you're banned. And we're not going to have any meetings. You can't appeal this. I know we said you might have been able to before, but you can't appeal it now. And so we wish you the best of luck.
You know what the crazy thing was too, is at the beginning when I got the 18-game suspension, they said, if you appeal it, it's going to go to a league vote, and the league will have the ability to give you an indefinite suspension. So we didn't appeal it. We just soaked the 18-gamer because we were like, you know what? Let's just take the 18 games. At least I can play hockey when I'm done. And then they just decided, when I'm halfway done my suspension, they just decided, actually, you know what, we changed our mind. Which is crazy, because at the end of the day, that was my employment. That's how I paid my bills. And for them to say...
Especially around Christmas time, too.
Yeah,
it was
crazy.
Time.
Yeah, thank God I got taken care of. Danbury took care of me. But like that was a crazy situation to be in. And but at the end of the day, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for everything. The way I look at it, and I explain this to people, is like when bad things happen, or like... You know, like it's like the universe will give you a stare. This is how I imagine everything. They'll give you a stare, and it's a challenge. Like the stare would be maybe a death, or maybe like something bad happening, and it's a stare. Once you finally overcome the stare and you've heard to realize, okay, this is a challenge, this is a growth, I can get better from this, then you step up. And now you're stepping up here, and now you kind of see the world from a little bit higher, and everything looks a little different. You can actually see a little bit more from up here now. And then everything, you start to get comfortable, and all of a sudden a bigger stare comes. Bigger than the last one. And then you're like, oh my God, here we are again, right? And then finally you figure it out, you learn the lesson, and then you step up, now you see even more. And I feel like it's just an endless, it's just an endless set of stairs, and they'll just keep coming. The challenges will keep coming. But once you get to the point of realizing that these things are for us, they're not happening to us, I feel like it gives you the ultimate power. And I feel like that's where I am now. I'm able to be grateful for the worst.
Well, now power is a beautiful thing too, because when you go with the mindset of this happened to me, you're the victim and you can't do anything about it. You've relinquished your ability to do something incredible about it. But if it happened for me, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. God wants me to show him the beauty of his creations. God wants me to show him my adversity, why he should be proud of me. Adversity builds character. Rising tide raises all ships. And it's cliched, and obviously when you're in the moment, it's tough. It's like, man, this is difficult, this is hard. But as David Goggins would say, who's going to row those boats? Who's going to carry the logs? Get those boats rowing, Ames.
Yeah, I love it. It's, at the end of the day, I feel like going through some dark times kind of gave me that ability, and now it's just got me to the point where it's I can handle situations like that pretty well.
Do you regret it at all?
It's tough to say. Like, I wish it didn't happen the way it did. I wish nobody got hurt. Of course, I wish nobody got hurt. But I'm grateful it went down the way it did. I'm grateful for it because it all went the way it did because, and everybody's okay. Crazy the guy's playing hockey again. It's crazy. I thought he's never going to play again. So I'm grateful that everybody ended up being okay. I'm grateful that it happened the way it did. So I ended up, moving on and growing from it, and everybody got a chance to grow. I wish it could have gone a little different, but I can't say I would have changed it.
You ever get any shit from the mic'd up videos from the league?
Which, the ECHL ones or the Fed? Not really, no. I don't think I did. I don't think I ever really got grilled about it even, which is crazy. I don't know. Yeah, I never really got grilled about the mic'd up videos in the Fed, so which I was surprised about.
That's fantastic. That's so good for the game, though.
Yeah, I think as time goes on, I know you know this too. Like sometimes you'll do something or you put something online, and then like later on you'll be like, oh my God, that's online. Like I'm sure you've done it. And sometimes you're like, oh, well, it's there now, But I think like the part of the process, especially with like being online and having a following and stuff, you learn from these things. So I learned like what works, what's good for the brand, what's good for the league, what's good for my brand and stuff like that. And you kind of adjust it as you go. So that's something I'm learning. And I feel like I've definitely posted stuff in the past where I'm like, I wish I would have bleeped out all my videos from the very beginning, honestly. I wish I did, because there's a lot of content out there where I'm F this, F that. And it's like, do I really want that out there like that? At this point, I don't know. I don't. At the beginning, I was like, that's authentic. That's who I am. But now I'm seeing all these young kids come up to me, these 12-year-olds. And I'm like, man, I wish that I would have at least bleeped those things out, But at the end of the day, I'm learning as I go. And, at the end of the day, it's about growth. So.
Well, and what's the difference, though, between trying to tailor your message so that it can hit more people, like obviously less swearing, and changing who you are, right? Because I don't want to change who I am. No. You don't either. But how can we tailor this to hit more people and be effective in communicating that? Exactly that. And I mean, also, you've sworn more times in the last 20 minutes than I have in three years of doing this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I was just telling you as we looked out the window here, I used to work on the water here, and I was on the boat, so I was a deckhand on the tugboat. So, I mean, they do say swear like a sailor, so I feel like I kind of got the green light.
Swear like a tugboat operator.
Yeah, there you go.
So I want to give a shout out to your co-host, AJ Galante, former president, GM at 17 years old of the Danbury Trashers. I'm going to be flying out to Danbury in 2 weeks.
Oh, no way.
To do a show with them, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Brody True Crew. Yeah. He wanted to fly me out to do a video. I think he wants to market it as facing off one-on-one against the world's most hated golie.
Nice.
Which I'm sure will do well. Nice, and then him and I are going to do a podcast. And then I told AJ, I'm like, if we're down there, we got to do a podcast as well. And I was talking to AJ about like, what's a good spot to stay, what's some good lodging opportunities, and he said,
go stay at the La Quinta in Danbury.
Get this. So we talked about that. AJ said, dude, I'll find something. If I got to pull something at the gym or something, I said, AJ, what about the Danbury Arena? You think I could set up shop in the arena? And he's like, yeah, I don't see why we couldn't make that happen. I said, what if I just camped out of the arena and made a video about that?
Dude, they'd probably love that too.
Camping out for the Danbury Hat-Tricks free agent camp.
I think that they'd probably be all about it. Especially if you get some content and stuff, they'd love it. There's a couple good little closets and stuff in there for sure. Carlos will take care of you too. Carlos is the cleaner.
I remember when you were doing sodas or old with Pat Shea.
Carlos is a beauty. Yeah, love Carlos.
But yeah, shout out to AJ. Also, happy birthday too. I think it's his birthday coming up shortly, and then also the yesterday, sorry. And then the 20th anniversary of the Trashers coming up next month. You do the podcast though. You've been doing it for about a year, less than a year. Like, was there an inspiration behind that?
Honestly, it was just like when I was in Danbury, me and AJ, I would go to AJ's office at the boxing gym. He has a boxing gym called Champs, great boxing gym in Danbury, Connecticut. And I would go there. I would walk there. I lived a 5-minute walk from the gym. So, I would walk down there and I would be in his office and we'd be BSing about the same stuff we talk about on the podcast. And we were just like one day like, why aren't we recording this? Like why wouldn't we just record this? I'm sure this would be fun for people. Like, and then that's kind of how it started. And honestly, like I'm sure you could tell when you listen to it, like we have no script. We'll have like a couple talking points and we just hang out. And it's fun, man. It's cool. Like now I'm on the road, obviously we have to do it remotely, but it's cool because it's like almost like we have to catch, like it's like we're catching up every time too at the same time. So it's fun for us. It's a good way for us to connect, and I think it's fun for we get lots of good feedback. And but it was just something that we like knew we had to do and we wanted to do. And at the end of the day, it's fun for us.
And I gotta say too, as a fan of your guys' show, like a genuine fan, a genuine weekly listener, you guys have the highest quality produced hockey podcast on the planet, with the video quality, the audio quality, just the whole setup in general. And dude, I'm just a fan, and I'm happy for your guys' success as well too.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's like that's how that's how AJ does things. Obviously, from the Trashers all the way through, he's doing things right. So I mean, I got to give that to AJ. AJ, like if it was up to me, we would have had that podcast going. It might have been done. Like I always say, me and AJ are yin and yang. I'll kick the freaking door down and figure it out as I go. AJ's hiding in the weeds, staking out the spot, making sure he's got the plans made up, you know? I'm already banging through the door. I'm probably messing things up as I go, but I'm gonna figure it out. So me and AJ are yin and yang in that way. So I put the pressure on to go quick. Like if it was up to me, that podcast would have started 6 months earlier, a year earlier, but I would have been recording it in my friggin' basement with a friggin', unfinished basement with just on my cell phone or something or whatever. Like, so I got to give it to AJ for being the kind of guy he is and his character and wanting to do things right and make sure it's done the right way. So that's why we get the good quality and we do everything, like that.
AJ is a legend. Also, on a note of the mic'd up videos, I want to give a shout out to your former coach, Billy McCreary, head coach of the Danbury Hat-Tricks. In the mic'd up videos, and also Billy's a weekly listener. He listens to the show every single week. Shout out to you, my friend. But in all the mic'd up videos, he legitimately looks like a character out of a side mission in GTA.
Yeah.
Like straight up, you could take Billy McCreary out of the mic'd up videos, just put him in GTA 6 if they ever release it, and boom, there's Billy McCreary.
One of the greatest signs, I can't remember where we were, but one of the fans was holding up a sign and it's something about how he looked like a used car salesman from the 80s. And they had a picture of like some guy, like where it was the exact outfit. I'm like, Billy, like, how did they get this? And we're just dying laughing on the bench, you can't help it. Nothing better than a good sign, and it's usually about me. Like, I've seen them all, but that was a good one.
You need a good pair of underwear to keep cool, compartmentalized.
What a transition.
Comfortable, especially if you're the goalie for the Ottawa Senators. You're going to be like, holy shit, we got no back checking tonight. I'm going to put my dick in my balls, my cannolis, my boccacinis, and a nice pair of sheath underwear. Here's why. They have an incredible dual pouch technology. It's a separated compartment to put all your manly parts where they need to go so they're not touching, sticking to the side of your leg. You don't have to like peel it off the side of your leg. It's compartmentalized, it's cool, it's comfortable with the bamboo mesh. And right now, sheath underwear, you go to the link in the video description. Use the code BIzkit69. We changed it back to the old code, by the way. It's BIZKIT 69, BIzkit69. We'll get you 20% off the greatest pair of underwear money has ever bought. And if you're tired of your father being disappointed in you like mine is, you get a pair of sheath underwear and he will be proud of you once again.
And ladies, there's stuff for you there too, so don't think that you're being shut out on this one.
Man, the mic'd up videos too, like they popped off. I enjoyed them so much. I remember being in Watertown and we'd all be watching them like on our phones. And I remember too, we got a punching bag in the room. I'm sure you saw the clip, but so we got a punching bag in the room. Coach says, okay guys, we got guys like Amesbury and Schmidt. We gotta toughen up. Right? We're the stupidest team in pro hockey because we did math tests in training camp, by the way.
No, what? Why?
So training camp rolls around. We have a meeting. Coach says, okay guys, we had the stupidest team in pro hockey last season. I want to confirm that. So we're going to do a math test and we're going to do a history test. So
that's funny.
For the record, I got 90% on the math test, which I was stoked about. I don't know a lot of American history, so I only batted about 25% on the American history. And I finished in the top, I think, 10% of all the testing, which was fantastic. But
in the Fed room?
In the Fed, in Watertown. Dumbest team in pro hockey. But we also got a punching bag, and coach was like, we're soft, we got to toughen up. And I remember, shout out my boy Tate Leeson, Tater Tot. We'd sit beside him. I sit beside him in the room. And I remember he was hitting the bag one day, and Tate's a little skinnier of a guy. And I remember telling him, come on, Tater, it's like Amesbury, hit him with your purse.
Oh, yeah.
Man, we were having a good time. But yeah, you inspired that. I remember telling the guys, we should print out a picture of Amesbury's face, just put it on the bag.
Yeah, just get it printed right on the bag.
Get like a life-size cutout.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that have that bag hanging somewhere or want to.
We could sell that.
Yeah, there we go. We're on the
signed
marketing.
Game
there we go. They don't want it signed. Whoever wants that doesn't want it signed.
We can do two variations, unsigned and signed, for two very different collectors.
Yeah.
But what do you got coming up though? So you're coming up with the Kansas City Mavericks this season.
Yeah.
Talking Trash season 2, I would assume will be back in action shortly during the season.
Yeah, it's going to be. I'm just really excited to play hockey this year. That's kind of like my main focus right now. I got a couple things cooking that'll probably come out at some point before the season starts. I'm excited to announce those things and stuff. But yeah, there's some cooking in the background that I can't really mention right now, and they're big. But yeah, I'm just training lots, getting ready for hockey, and I'm honestly I've never loved the game so much. So and I say that truly, like I've never loved hockey as much as I do now. I feel like a kid. It's so much fun. I'm so grateful for it, and I'm grateful to be going.
If I could, real quick too. In my experience in the Fed, I found my passion for hockey fading at a rate that I've never seen it before, like to the point where I dreaded coming to the rink. Yeah. Seeing the stuff that you would post brought a little bit of that passion back. Yeah. Like I remember the first time seeing your first ECHL shift, which by the way, your first ECHL shift is the greatest first shift in minor pro hockey history. 5 seconds in, runs this guy right through the glass, plasters him into the ice, into the concrete pavement underneath the ice, and then KOs the captain to the point where when I posted a clip about the fight, that guy was stalking my Instagram stories for the next 2 months, trying to see every day if Trav would post something new. Shout out to Redicop.
Yeah, he's a good kid too. But yeah, honestly, like I've said it 1,000 times that you couldn't have drawn that up better. You know, they put me out for the starting lineup. I'm out there for the anthem. And, you know, you tell the boys, you know, as soon as you find out I'm in the starting lineup, I'm going to get that puck deep. I don't care if it's a 2-on-1. Put the puck in the corner.
Guy's going to break away. He's going to chip it in.
We win the face-off and the puck goes deep, and I'm like, let's go. I get on my horse, and, you know, one thing people might not give me credit for, I'm fast. Like I can boogie as long as it's a straight line, and I don't have to stop and start. So I get on my horse, and he flushes out behind the net, and I just, you know, clean check. Great reload to be the high guy. Oh yeah, it was. It couldn't have drawn it up better, man. It was. I'll remember that for the rest of my life, and I'm grateful it went down the way it did, and grateful for everybody in Fort Wayne. It was such a good experience, and at the end of the day, like I think my experience with hockey has been a lot different than some people's because I missed the game. I didn't have the game for 9 years, or what, I don't even know. I actually don't even know exactly how many years. It was 2014 I retired, and so I missed the game. I missed it bad. I missed it to the point I couldn't watch a game. I couldn't go into a rink without shedding a tear. Like for real. That's how bad it was. I had to bury it around. I had to almost pretend that hockey didn't exist for a good 5 or 6 years of my life. It was really hard, and I missed it so much. I missed the guys in the room. And then I finally started to, you know, heal and started to be able to open up to the game again. And I started to play beer league and with some buddies. And then as it kind of started to come back, I remember I played a couple games full check in a senior in Powell River, and that was when I was like, okay, this is awesome. And then I did Ice Wars, and then I came out of retirement. Now I'm getting the full experience again where I'm on the road with these guys. I'm hanging out on the bus talking. We're in the dressing room every day. And I just started to realize that this time around, I'm present in every moment. I'm not taking anything for granted because I've missed these things. And I would even say, we'd be sitting at the back of the bus and I'd be sitting with these guys, the young guys, and I'd be like, this is what it's all about. We're sitting at the back of the bus, a couple beers floating around, guys are having a chew, we're playing cards, bullshitting, telling stories. This is what you're gonna miss. And I would say that to the guys all the time, like, this is the greatest game ever, enjoy it. Because one day you're not gonna have it, and it could be tomorrow. So it's, I feel like having that perspective of missing the game and coming back, I'm so grateful to be around the game, and I'm so grateful to play the game at whatever level it is, and be around the boys, go on the road trips. I love it, man. I've never loved hockey as much as I do now.
I couldn't agree with that more. I remember, I'll tell you a quick story in Mississippi this season, but with the Seawolves, granted a very short 2 weeks in Mississippi. But we just lost in Columbus. We're heading home, and shout out to Yanni Liarakos, my boy, the Greek freak, Greek stallion, good-looking guy. Just talking to him the other day, so shout out to you, bud. But he would also drive the bus as well, and he says, guys, we got to pull over to this gas station. And we're like, why are we stopping? He just runs out, and he's starting to talk to some lady, and one of the guys like, oh, Yanni's trying to, make things good with his ex-girlfriend. They're trying to talk through some problems, and a couple of the guys, it's like 2 a.m, right? Guys are like, come on, like, let's get going. I'm like, guys, haven't you ever been in love? This is what it's all about. We get to spend more time on the bus. This is what it's all about. And then you hear a bunch in the back, shut up, Trav. All right, thanks, guys. But stuff like that, that's what we love about hockey. And even, I don't know if you feel the same way, the morning cup of joe, the guys that are there like 2 hours beforehand, you get the Keurig going. Tater, how you doing? Ames, good to see you, man. What do you want in the coffee? A little cream, Splenda, sugar, International Delight, whatever you want. How's things been? That's what it's about.
In Fort Wayne, it was you get there early, get your cup of coffee, everybody sit in their stall, we'd have sports on, and we would just hang out and watch highlights from the night before or whatever, and it was, it's like things like that, those are the things you're gonna miss, At the end of the day, it's like the room that I missed the most when I was away from the game, like to the point I couldn't watch hockey. And like I said, I went through that for 5 years and I started to heal. I didn't touch the ice for 5 years. Didn't put skates on for 5 years at all. And then I started slow, played a couple beer league games, and then now here we are playing back in the ECHL at the level that I finished off at. So.
I couldn't agree with that more, man. I remember even like Motor City, like the now Baton Rouge coach, Everett Thompson, we sat 2 stalls away from each other in Motor City, and we'd be both there 2 hours beforehand. We'd come in, have a coffee, whatever, talk politics, talk news, talk the world, just solving the world's problems 2 hours before morning skate in Motor City. That's what the game's all about, though. That's literally what it's all about. I did want to ask you one more question. Well, a couple more. But can you retell the body bag story?
Yeah, so AJ calls this my christening to Danbury hockey. It was my first game, so it was my first game out of retirement, my first pro game, and we're in Danbury at home. Pretty packed barn. There's a lot of fans there. Everybody was wondering who this guy is. Who is this Daniel Amesbury? And I feel like there's lots of buzz and hype and stuff. So I was like, felt a little pressure. But you know, I don't even remember how the game went. I don't even know if I had fought already at this point. I'm sure I had. But it was near the end of the game, and we were winning. And you know, at the end of the day, I play whistle to whistle. I don't care how much time's on the clock. I don't care what the score is. I'm playing until the whistle goes, until the game's over, when the buzzer goes. That's just how I am. Whatever. Say what you want about it. Puck goes D to D. There's like 6 seconds left in the game. I'm swinging. Puck goes D to D to the guy that I'm swinging towards, and he just makes this pass, and he's just watching his pass. He's like, there's no way I'm gonna get hit here. And I just crush him, hit him with a good hit. He was at the dot at the blue line, and he hit the boards horizontal in the air. It was a big hit, and he's rocked. And he's sitting there. He's this guy's. I don't know if he hit his head, but he was rocked, laying down. Hadn't seen him move, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh no. And the arena's quiet. It's quiet, and I'm like, oh my god. And I'm like, this is the last thing we need. Right away, game one. So I'm literally on one knee saying a prayer, please get up, please get up, please get up. And then all of a sudden I hear, body bag. And I'm and at first I was like, there's no way. There's no way they're saying that. There's no way they're actually saying, and then body bag. The whole section 102 is chanting body bag. The guy hasn't moved. He's laying there. I don't know, is he alive? Is he breathing? Is he knocked out? I don't know what's going on. These guys are going nuts. Now the whole place is chanting body bag, and I'm just hoping this guy's finger moves. And then finally he gets up. I don't know how he got out of there. Definitely don't think he got out on his own skates, but he ended up being okay. But it was a big hit, and that was my christening to Danbury hockey. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, play between the whistles. Keep your head up.
Could use that in, was it Cincinnati for the debut?
Kalamazoo.
Yeah, Kalamazoo, body bag. I could use that in section 102.
Big time. I think they banned the body. I heard they banned the body bag. The Fed did. Lifetime ban.
Chant?
No, they used to throw a body bag on the ice. They didn't do it that time, but they would bring a body bag to the games and they would throw it on the ice.
And so they banned it?
I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Fascinating.
Yeah, weird.
Fascinating. Interesting. Do you got any final messages, anything to the Kansas City fans?
Just super excited, obviously grateful for Fort Wayne and everything, the opportunities they gave me and all the fans there. It was a super awesome experience, but really excited for this next chapter. Unfinished business from last year with Kansas City. They went to the finals and lost, so time to button it up and lift something up. Also
shout out to your new goalie partner, or goalie I guess, Dylan Kelly, my boy, the mobility guy.
DK, he played in Danbury, I think, too.
Sir. Fed legends.
How about every team I've played for out of my retirement's orange?
Team I'm playing for this year is orange as well.
I don't know what it is. It's a
beautiful color scheme. The black and orange, Broad Street Bullies. I like it. Any messages to anybody in the Fed?
No, just honestly, the thing about the Fed, I just think that it's cool that, the one thing I respect about the league and the players in it, there's nobody's there for a paycheck. Everybody's there because they love the game. So I think at the end of the day, just having that is it's the most valuable thing in the world, loving the game.
Boom. Baddest man in hockey, Diamond Hands Amesbury in front of me. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow the man, follow him at Diamond Hands on Instagram.
It's at Amesbury.
Gotcha. And then the Chalk and Trash podcast as well. Do you guys have an upload schedule?
DB Trashers. We do every Sunday.
Every single Sunday. Same for us. And then as far as the regular listeners to the show, Dave Wheeler and I will be back full-time next week, full-time throughout the season. New episodes of Slangin The BIzkit every single Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's 10 a.m. in downtown Winnipeg, my home, birthplace in the prairies. 9 a.m. in Calgary and Saskatoon, and 8 a.m. right here in the Pacific Northwest, home in downtown Vancouver. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this show. Like button as well. Leave a review on Apple and Spotify. And until then, we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. We do a new podcast every single Sunday during the season called Slangin The BIzkit. It is a non-mainstream hockey podcast, so we talk about my hockey career, the minor pros, all the stuff that you won't hear in the mainstream news.
Music,
pop culture,
politics.
Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you soon.